I'm a big fan of horror films. I'm a big fan of like gory stuff.
All right.
I've got a dark.
Hello, Enrico from Ferocians here. Today I would like to introduce you to Nick Scholey, the legend behind Everything Has Pain, the video clip, and the mix. Hi Nick.
Hi, how's it going?
Oh, I'm so glad to have you here today. How did you come up with, such ideas? For example, the one that we see on your back, Dimitri being like trapped into a screen, or...
This idea was, I guess if you take it back to the video concept being about mental health and mental kind of pain and anguish, it's kind of like the protagonist, if you will, which is you,
which is us,
gets sort of captured. It's almost a metaphor for like, you get. It's a metaphor for mental health problems, specifically depression, but getting sort of like taken out on the street by someone, like kidnapped almost, like knocked out of the blue. You don't know when it's going to happen, and getting dragged into this sort of dungeon of torture, gets plugged into a machine and starts getting fed like negative imagery, nightmares. It's kind of like when you get in a head funk, and just sort of replaying all sorts of negative stuff in your head.
Yeah,
it's kind of like a visual horror film.
You've been you played quite a big role on the creation of this one song. Basically, I remember that this was the first song that I was really relating to very much with Ferocians. Even more than the first EP, and I was like, dude, this is a song I really love. I just written lyrics for this, and then I showed you the lyrics, and then you were reading them out. And for me, I'm also a non-native speaker, so like the first feedback was like, wow, dude, did you write these for me?
Yeah, because we had a lot of talks about we kind of had this whole massive in-depth rabbit hole discussion of ADHD and neurodiversity and mental health, and I think in this whole time of being locked down and not really seeing many people, and you have a lot of time to think about stuff, and you've got the internet and, just going down all sorts of rabbit holes. But I think there was a lot of lyrics that kind of spoke to me that were like, oh, this sounds exactly like shit that I've experienced, but then I guess that was kind of what maybe even brought us a bit closer, was the fact that you were like, no, this is about me, and I'm like, oh, okay, I can relate, bro.
yeah
It was like very, very relatable.
This is very good. When this happens with your lyrics, it's like someone can relate to them and ask you if it's for them. Like, this is, my job is done. And I wanted to ask, like, is this like also part of your experience? Like, can I see some of Nick Scholey into this video? Like, what's the story behind it?
I think, I guess like I can relate to a lot of the negativity of mental health illnesses. I've had sort of like various problems and phases of bad mental health throughout my life, but also being a filmmaker, I like to make visual things and try to convey a lot of feelings and emotions visually, which can't necessarily be done otherwise, and I'm a big fan of horror films. I'm a big fan of like quite brutal imagery, shocking, gory stuff.
All right.
I've got a dark...
That's quite a few.
I've got a dark sense of humour. I've got a dark...
taste?
Yeah, dark taste, but to me, violence on a screen, I can kind of separate them, because... But I guess maybe because I'm closer to the filmmaking process.
The night before filming, we had a quick meeting at your place, basically here. And we were gonna go and film at Renate. So Wilden Renate, which is like this historical club of Berlin. And hi, people at Wilden Renate. Thanks for the invitation and all that. The meeting was kind of like, it was quick and there was not much planned. Like basically, the thing is, like, the thing was all very ADHD. Like, we're gonna improvise most of the things, and you just sketched out some notes.
Having done a lot of filming in that nightclub before and some of the events that they host, I'm quite familiar with the space and the setup and what they've got. And they've got one of the rooms which has just got TVs all over the wall. And I was like, it doesn't really get used for anything. Like, maybe when they have certain events, an artist might come and do some visual stuff in it, but apart from that, I've not seen it being in use for anything. So I'm like, it's there, it's set up, it's ready to go. It's like a film set already. And we were we were on a tight time budget, tight financial budget. It was like, let's just DIY the fuck out of it.
Yeah.
And hence, we'll come back to this later, but hence me doing sort of special effects, makeup and props.
Oh, sure,
and,
man. Like,
all of that shit.
Everything
it was a kind of a challenge for me.
The least time possible as well.
Yeah.
Like quick as fuck.
Yeah. And I think I had a general idea of the narrative side of the story, but it wasn't storyboarded.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
There was no storyboard.
It wasn't even really scripted. It was just kind of like a bunch of ideas that I wanted to shoot, and I knew how I was going to put them together.
Yeah.
It was in my head, Yeah.
I know you, and I because I also know the other guys of the band. I think they were scared to the bone of having like no storyboarding. And I'm like, yeah, Nick's gonna fucking own this, like this. It's gonna be amazing.
There were things. that I didn't shoot on the day, which I kind of maybe wish I had gone back and done. But then there was other things which I was like, oh, why not have some cutaway scenes which are just purely, they're not necessarily connected, but they're all like the nightmare images, which is kind of what's happening in your head.
Yeah.
And having those within the film. But some of them I shot in my bathtub here with like the blood and the meat and all of that. A lot of that was kind of inspiration from like old like metalcore times when I used to be in a metal band, My Mind's Weapon. That was my kind of my calling back when I think I joined the band when I was 19, and we went all the way through to about 2012, and we had so many great opportunities. We played some amazing festivals and shows and supports. And I think bleeding through, they had a record, or maybe the album cover even, which was very kind of like white background, but like blood, very like
pulpy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just like gross. And I was like, yeah, we needed a space to do the performances, and I thought having the whole band performing in one shot, where you can see all of you performing together, is important to get in the music video. But I also thought that that room with the TVs in the background lent itself quite well to that vibe, and just turning the TVs on so that they're just flickering static and stuff, so that's what you see in those performance shots. And then we had some solo musician shots where we'd put you in a different place. So like Dimitri, we had on a bit of a stage in the middle of a room with this infinity mirror behind him, and then there's you going down the corridors because it's this old apartment basically. It was kind of like going to a set that was already built, and I was just lucky enough to have access to it,
Yeah, some of the things I remember, they were completely improvised. I remember like I was leaning towards this pole, dancing pole. You were like, oh yeah, do that, now sing and play, and you're like, yeah, what should I do? And then some of these scenes like are the most iconic of the video. There's like these scenes with the hood.
Oh yeah,
that look like
a top light.
Yeah,
and you're like,
and that's just like a dancing pole, and you're like, do something. And
yeah,
I was like, yeah, who knows what this is gonna look like?
It's just like shout down at me,
like an epic. None of this would have been allowed. Like we've been like checking out, like doing tests for ourselves, like to be safe and not, not to
make a mess. I think we had a kind of protocol. If the ordnance amp were to come in and do a check or something like that, that we'd have a story. To what
show
we would
tests
say.
And like invent stuff, but like none of this was legal. And that was like also like as you said, like it was not only a year ago, but also it was like a very it's an arc of time that I don't really remember some of the things, because like time didn't have any boundaries.
No, it was weird.
Then
it was really weird.
Yeah, I remember after you covered me in blood and made me spit blood in the video. I was complete. There was no shower, of course, and Than Atlantis, because it's not a place where you take a shower. And then I had to take an Uber to get home, and it was after 10. I remember after you covered me in blood and made me spit blood in the video. I was complete. There was no shower, of course, and Than Atlantis, because it's not a place where you take a shower. And then I had to take an Uber to get home, and it was after 10 o'clock, so there was like the curfew was already on, so I wouldn't even be allowed to be on the street, and I was completely covered in blood in this place. So the taxi driver, like the Uber driver, he looked at me and he was like, alright, I'm not gonna ask anything about that.
Are you okay, bro?
Yeah, I'm just gonna drive you home. Like, yeah, go. Like, you did mix the song and did some production in it.
You showing me Four Oceans, I was like, oh yeah, this is the jam. This is heavy shit. And I was like, I wanna have a crack at mixing it, you know, like even just for fun. So like, and I knew that you guys were doing the production yourselves, so I could just get the stems off you, and yeah, and I think you said that to me that you wanted me to mix.
The one thing that on this song really shines of the production that you did, for example, is the way that the breakdown comes, and you did this glitchy effect on the vocals. Mm-hmm. You know, like wait.
Yeah,
that part's great. And on Confined, you've also done production there. 1,000 Yard Stare. You not only mixed this one. There's a bunch of other songs that you've mixed. And I think the second wave of Four Oceans, you know, like the first EP was like, I've had a crack at mixing it and I've done some of it. And then the second wave, the new songs, the more like harder stuff, and as well the more melodic stuff, if you want. It's like signature. Nick Scholey.
I felt like there'd been a whole lot of time where since I'd last mixed a metal band, where I'd picked up loads of valuable information on specifically like things like drums. Actually, my friend Than Atlantis, he's done Bring Me the Horizon and Blink-182 and now Muse, and he's always, we just geek out when we chat about stuff like this, and there was things that I had learnt and not applied or not had the opportunity to apply to anything. So it was like I had this backlog of learning, which I was like, cool, now I can try out some of this stuff on this track, which was great. Mark was second camera. He just got, had he bought it yet? I think he was either hiring it for another job, but he now owns one, an A7S3. And the performance of that camera, especially in low light, and some of the features that it's got, like autofocus, when you've got it on a gimbal, you can have it face tracking, and you can customize it to how you want to use it. But that was great for just throwing in a shot and just diving in and about, and it's really,
I believe this one is
absolutely, that is
that one. This, like, these kind of takes, these are like unbelievably like
crisp as fuck. Yeah, back to the scene here. This was done upstairs in the studio, which is like a kind of backstage area of the nightclub, and it's kind of a chaotic space. There's a lot of shit around. There's loads of costumes from the parties and
whatever, which
were kind of handy because some of these costumes we were able to just use. They were there already. And there was, I think I don't know if I brought it, but it was like painted decorators kind of material that you put over sofas and shit.
Yeah,
it's just like plastic sort of film. And I think I used 2 mic stands or 2 stands or something, some gaffer tape, and I just made a sheet of that. And then I painted Dimitri's face to look like some kind of a nightmare clown, and we squirted blood on the surface of it so it ran down, and he's kind of creeping about behind it.
There's one Dimitri, there's one you,
there's me,
there's one you clown.
I wrapped my face up in toilet paper and did this kind of like
the department of like the props and makeup victim. Man, that was like all improvised, and you basically if I'm not mistaken, the filming of this part was filmed in one day, and then we had half another day, and plus we came to do some of the meat. We did the steak.
They did the steak and blood and hands and stuff in my bathroom.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of stuff I've shot in my bathtub actually, and then the intro scene we did on the street outside my apartment. We were kind of stuck for time, so we couldn't really go on a big mission.
Yeah,
let's keep it simple. Let's do it locally.
You jacket on. I got your clothes, and you're like, yeah, sure, Alex.
And there was these sort of like garage door things which were ran in my neighborhood, and I was like, oh, this is cool. It looks pretty sort of dark and dingy. And how about we get
some people?
This character, the sort of, what would you call him? The faceless guy.
Oh yeah.
Comes up behind you and like knocks you over the head with something.
Fucking Alex.
And then pulling you down into the doorway, so you just see your feet kind of leaving the pavement.
Yeah.
And then the idea was to have as the intro with the track actually playing in your headphones with this. Exactly. Oh yeah, it wasn't headphones. It was exactly those guys.
Of course they are.
and it was like you're just a metal dude on his way home, minding his own business, and then boom, mental health strikes, and then that was kind of how it closed the film as well, with you with the headphones on again. Everything that happens within the bookend of the music video is just a moment in your head. In one of the rooms has this wallpaper which is like peacock feathers. I always thought peacock feathers looked like eyes, and I thought how cool would that be to comp in eyes. So I just got a shot of just the wall basically at the end of the day, and then comped in that's my own eyeball.
Yeah,
it's a plastic bag, guys. That's a plastic bag with a pork steak in it and some fake blood. The ants, I filmed them when I was doing another music video.
Did you?
Yeah, Robin and the Goblins, Future Angel, and we were filming it in what's it called, Grunewald in the park, and there was this tree and it was fucking infested with ants, and I was just filming them because I knew that we were doing this at the same time, and I was like, I'm just going to get some, maybe I can use this in the film.
Awesome, man. You didn't even use it.
It's not the first time I've done this kind of cross-contamination of like
3 advices to young filmmakers.
Don't do it if you don't enjoy it, because it's going to take a lot of time. If you're just starting out, spend time on projects. Don't worry about the money. Make sure that you've got a job or something else that is paying you money. But I'm sure you'll get obsessed with what you're doing, and just experiment and play around with things and try out new ideas. See what you can do on no money. Lighting is more important than having a good camera, having a fancy, flashy camera. You don't need a fancy camera. Think about telling a story. Don't just shoot cool stuff and then try to smash it together in the edit, because 9 times out of 10 it's not really going to work. Try to have a bit of a story arc and think of, what you're trying to say with your video, and maybe have some messages within there, and but have fun doing it.
Cheers.